Hi, Pari. A very good afternoon. I hope you are doing
Hello,
really well.
sir. Yeah,
So, how does it feel after cracking IPMAT Indore and getting into IIM Indore for the IPM program?
very satisfying, to say the least.
Right. So, it's been quite a long journey with IMS. You started, I think, in the September or October of 2021, if
Yes,
I'm not
that's too much.
so almost 2 years. So before we go ahead, Pari, can you briefly tell me about your background as to how much did you score in your class 10th, and what was your subjects? What were your subjects in your class 11th and 12th, and what options did you have? For the entrances.
Okay, so I was in the ICSC board throughout, and I had 97.8 in 10th and 94.8 in my 12th. So I was a commerce with math student, and initially I was juggling between both law and IPMAT. So as far as my BBA entrances were concerned, I was only focused on the IIMs, no other colleges. But for CLAT, so I gave both CLAT and ALET as well.
How did these two options come up basically? So IPM is management,
Hmm,
CLAT is law. So how
correct.
did you come up with these two options? And then what was the primary uh, college, and how did you basically choose between the two careers?
Okay, so like I took a career counseling thing after my 10th grade, and like both of these showed up. So I was very like interested in law initially. I was like, okay, I only want to do law, and I had IPMAT as my so-called backup. It is not like a backup thing, so I just sidelined that for the time being. And I was solely focusing on my flat prep. But then during September of last year, I had a chance to actually go to the IIM Indore campus for this event that they had. And like I talked to a lot of seniors, a lot of faculty members and everything, and actually found out that, okay, this program is not like any other normal BBA or BCom or BEco. So I found it really interesting. And like that was when I was like, okay, fine, no, I want to do this only, law is something I don't want to do. But then and since law exams were in December, because already like I had already studied for 2 years around. So I was like, okay, fine, let me give it. And I gave it. So I had GNLU and NLU Delhi as my options. But then no, so I started preparing for boards, and then after boards, I stuck solely to IPMAT. So like those 2-3 months were only and only IPMAT, and like again, I only applied to all the five IIMs, nothing else. So I knew that any IIM that I get into, I will not do law. Like I will drop those colleges.
How many of the IIMs did you crack then?
I got into four. Ranchi waitlisted me.
Pari, how has your preparation journey been with IMS? Like, how much, till what time were you studying or, attending classes? How much time did you assign to, revision and such things? So can you just give me a brief about your journey?
So I was a 2 year student, and so like I knew okay, I had to start early, so getting ahead and all of that. So I started early, and like law and management entrances, there's a lot of overlapping portion. So initially, my target was that okay, I'm going to finish all of the overlapping portion, especially in the verbal and the logical reasoning part. But okay, I'll finish all of the overlapping portion, and I'll do basic maths, which is required for law entrances because back then law was my focus. So I only did basic maths, and like I gave a lot of mocks for CLAT and everything. But then after CLAT was done and everything, that's when I started doing more IPMAT level questions. So, and gave like a lot of mock tests for IPMAT as well. So even initially, like in the second year of my prep, I did start doing more of IPMAT level math because I knew this would only help for class. Like I'm just doing a higher level, that it would be helpful. So I started doing that as well. So I kept doing both together, like till the end. And like it was only around September, October that I made my final decision.
how much time did you assign for your studies, and
Hmm.
how much time was additional for the law part in that?
Okay. So, like I had this pattern that I was very clear that my boards is not something that I want to sacrifice. Like I wanted marks there also because I knew that, okay, in the end, if I do decide on IPM, my boards mark will also play a role. So I made sure I was not going slack on that. So what I did was, like I would do alternate days. So one day I would only study for boards in school, and then the other day I would divide into half. So half of my day I would do boards, and the other half of my day I would do competitive exam prep. And then like the next day, say I would give a mock. So initially, what I was doing was once a week mock, but then towards the end, like I switched to twice a week, even thrice a week. So like initially, I would say give like 6 7 hours to like my entire day of studying would be 6 7 hours, and competitive exam would be say 2 to 3 hours per day. But I was not very consistent in my first year. I picked up in my second year. First year was only building concepts, attending classes, building the base. I did not do any practice anymore in the first year.
When did you start taking the mock tests?
Uh, Second year only. So I attempted CLAT, the 2022 attempt. That was something that I gave. So that was in June of 2022. So around April, May 2022, that's when I started. And then when I gave the June CLAT, I found out, okay, these are the areas that I'm lacking in. That's when like I increased the number of mocks that I was giving for law. For IPMAT, I only started giving mocks after October. But then, like in these last 3 months, I gave like 3 mocks a week. So it was very, very, very hectic.
How would how did you find the level of IPMAT mocks at IMS vis-a-vis the actual exam, and was it helpful in any way?
It was definitely helpful, but like the IMS mocks were way tougher than like the actual paper. The actual paper was not that tough, especially with Rohtak. Like Rohtak paper was very easy. But with Indore, yeah, it was a little tougher, especially the verbal ability section in like IMS mocks is always such like of such a high level. I mean, my score has been down in the 70s also in the verbal section in IMS mocks. MCQ section, I always thought was like very close to actual paper. Short answer, like this year, short answer, I thought in the Indore paper was exceptionally difficult. I found very difficult. So like the mocks were like I was conditioned to that level of difficulty because the mocks were so difficult. So I didn't panic even when I was not able to solve questions in the short answer section. So I think I solved like 6 questions correctly in the short answer section. I was very scared that it would not be enough. But then because I had already seen a greater level of difficulty than that, so it did not affect like my further sections.
I just want to understand what you did, right to clear the verbal cutoffs, and what was the strategy there?
Okay, so like one thing that I was in the ICSE board throughout. So that was like definitely very helpful. And I would read a lot of novels since like seventh, eighth grade. But then again, that's something that only helps you build your base. So I knew that, okay, I'm already ahead of people in the verbal ability part. And this is the section that will maximize my score. So, like, out of the 236 marks that I had in my IPMAT Indore paper total, 155 was only verbal. So, I chose the verbal section. I was like, okay, I'm going to work really hard on this. Like, this is my strong section, make it better. Like, I'll be so good at it that this will maximize my score. So, what I would do is, I was very weak at para jumbles. So, I would do like 3 4 para jumbles every day without fail. That was something that I used to do. And like something to understand is that you can't ignore the section because it is easy. Agreed, it is easy, but then even the cutoffs are so high. Like the cutoff this year was 125. It's not easy to clear it if you're just doing like an average performance. Points cutoffs are still like okay, they're moderate, but verbal cutoffs are extremely high. So you can't ignore it. You have to be consistent with that as well. I think verbal sectionals really helpful.
So did you ever access the video solutions that used to come with the mock tests to understand the solutions?
I was for the RC section, yes, because many a times you're like, okay, this is my thought process, but why is the answer not matching with that? So actually, I was initially very overconfident with my verbal. I was like, oh, I read, I know so many words. I'm from the ICSE board. I did CLAT English. I'm so good at this. But then I gave MS mocks ka verbal and like I got, I think 72 in one mock. Like that was my point. Ki, okay, now I have to work on this, otherwise my paper is going to crash. So like that was like the point when I decided that okay, now I'm going to even analyze the verbal section properly, look at every video solution, read every answer explanation, and practice every day.
How many my plans did you take, and who was your mentor? Who was your favorite mentor at IMS?
I don't remember how many I took, but I took more than four. So I had two with, like I had one with you, I think. I had one with Nimish sir, and I had two with Abhishek sir, which he was from my center. Like I made sure I was taking it with different mentors because I wanted different point of views. And so like favorite mentor, I don't think I can say that.
Okay, so
I,
basically that's fine.
everybody was there. Hmm.
What would be the best part of the entire IMS journey that you had, which you would, which you found to be the most useful in your journey?
I would definitely say like the doubt solving mechanism that we had. But like we had groups and then there were also sessions that would get held. So that was, I think, extremely helpful because if you go on solving and like you're not getting your doubts cleared, doesn't help at all. And like if I had a doubt, like I wanted somebody to clear it immediately. Otherwise, I would forget it later or I would get more confused or something. So just ask immediately. And even helping solve other kids' doubts on the groups. I think that was a very nice exercise because I would see random questions like, for example, I'm practicing verbal and like I would open my phone and I'd see, okay, somebody asked a quant step. So in between that, I would sit and solve that question and send the solution. It'd be really satisfying that, okay, I helped to solve this. I got this question. The doubt solving thing was very nice overall.
What would your advice be to all the aspirants who are preparing for the upcoming IPMAT exams in the next year?
Okay, so like I only had like one motto throughout chill out. There is nothing to stress so much. Whether just kind of think about it as just another exam. I get it, like it gets you into college and everything, but it's not the end of the world. And like just be honest to yourself. Don't lie to yourself throughout the preparation. You can lie to others, but you'll never be able to lie to yourself. Okay, I did this or I did not do this. It'll always be you who knows. And like even in the interview, this same tip applies. Be honest. Don't bluff. I think this is the reason why Ranchi waitlisted me. I bluffed a lot in that interview for some reason. I don't know why, but I said things I did not know, which I shouldn't have. So don't bluff. Be honest to yourself the entire
All right, Pari, really happy that you've, got into so many top colleges and then chosen the college that you actually wanted to get into. I wish you all the best in your journey ahead and hope that, after 5 years, when you complete your MBA, you get into a, really good, you start a top career in management. So all the best. And yes, thank you very much for this, advice to the upcoming students.
time. Thank you. Thank you so much.